Hey, it's Rob, and trying something new today. I'm actually on the exercise bike. I know you can see me working up a sweat here, but hey, it's something. I have this in my basement, and I actually use it. So, anyway, I don't often go into the details of my life here and my career challenges, etc., but I'm going to make this video today because I think we have enough evidence to determine that film and television production is basically a dead-end career choice for 2025. Take 5. What does the tree say?
Somebody takes my apples and I'm mad.
Good job.
Can you make a mad face?
I hate to say it. I've been working in it for 10 years now at this point in Atlanta. And I had another few years in Los Angeles where I also did this kind of work. And I've really enjoyed it. It's very exciting, of course. Working on a crew, it's interesting, and there's a lot of cool people, and you meet celebrities, and you get to be a part of a big film or a TV show. Like I've spent many years working on Walking Dead, Stranger Things here in Atlanta, and multiple feature films like Fly Me to the Moon that came out last year with Scarlett Johansson, Channing Tatum, and, many other things, all the way going back to the Baywatch reboot with The Rock that I worked on shortly after coming to Atlanta in 2014. So I've had a nice 10-year run this time around in film and TV production. I also do a lot of corporate work, and I work on podcasts, and so there are a variety of things out there, and some of that is still going on. My work is very slow at the moment. But sadly, I think the writing is on the wall. For the film and TV business, we've taken a lot of hits in the last few years, and I just don't think there's any coming back from it. At this point, it doesn't mean there will be no work or no new films and TV shows happening. I can basically talk about my perspective being in Atlanta, although I lived in Los Angeles for 20 years. Atlanta had a really big boom, a period of just almost total employment. If you were working in film and TV, you were working on something in 2019, even through the pandemic, 2020 through 2022, kind of ramped up to that point. At least from my experience, I know that people have been working far longer than me in this industry in Atlanta. I wasn't here until 2014, but it was kind of like a flat, maybe a slightly curved, growth opportunity for working in the areas of film and TV. And then it kind of just shot up. Everything was shooting here. I think we were number 1 for TV shows and number 2 for feature films. It was great. We were taking work from, New York and Los Angeles, and especially places like North Carolina, which had let their film incentives kind of die on the vine. We had these great film incentives here where they kick back about 30% of what you spent here, tax rebates, etc. So we were, really humming and doing pretty well. But the film and TV business is like the circus. Comes to town for a while, you have a good time, you see the elephants and the monkeys and ride the rides, and then it's over. And I think, we can pretty much say that, those great boom times we had, we're just not going to see them again. There are a lot of reasons for it. I'm happy to go into them right now, but if you're considering a career in TV and film, and maybe you want to work as a production assistant, you want to get your feet wet, find out what it's like on the set and things like that. Again, it's very exciting when you're young. It's very exciting for me now still to work in this business when I get to work in this business. But the opportunities are just few and far between. We've really gone from having 40 or 50 shows shooting to maybe 4 or 5 now, or maybe at 10 or 20% of what we were doing a few years ago. And that just means that a bunch of people moved out here to Atlanta or wherever you happen to be, moved to an area where there was a lot of production happening, and then the production, just kind of trails off. And now you got all these, people just like this pent-up employment, desire on the part of all these people and very few jobs to fill that desire. So, whereas I was going against, in my capacity as a sound mixer, maybe 3 or 4 other people were being considered for a job. Now it's 30 or 40. I belong to a service, a job hunting service called Staff Me Up. I never got much on there, although in years past I have gotten some, okay jobs from there. They're not the highest paying jobs, but it is work. And whereas I would apply for a job and it would, it tells you, hey, 3 other people have applied for this. Now it's 30 or 40 other people have applied for it. So you're facing 10 times as much competition for these dwindling jobs. It's really pretty depressing. And I have not been a happy camper these last few months because of it. Because, this is the work that I do. I'm good at it. I mean, I just said the other day, I spent 10 years working as a sound mixer and a microphone boom operator. And I don't think anybody ever yelled at me once. That's a pretty good, track record. Meaning that I get the job done. I know what I'm doing. Nobody comes back to me a month later and says, what happened? There's no sound on this scene or whatever. Knock on something. It's never happened to me. So clearly, I feel like at this point, hey, I know what I'm capable of, providing for my clients. I know that, if they call me, I'm going to do a good job. They're going to be happy with it. Now, you don't normally hear anything. And that's kind of the mark of doing a good job is you don't hear anything. Because if you do hear something, most likely it's something that got screwed up. I've had a couple times where people have said, hey, we have an issue with this or that. And I've been able to quickly resolve it and say, you're looking in the wrong folder or whatever. And that's been the extent of it. So it's been a pretty successful run for me. A nice, around 10 years of experience working in film and TV in Atlanta. But I think it's done. And it's just sad. I'll talk about the reasons now. I'll try to zip through them pretty quickly. Again, we had a big ramp up, big build up until about 2020. COVID hit, it stopped us dead in our tracks. But we, quickly recovered because we put all these policies in place. We did all this crazy stuff during COVID. I should make a video just about the crazy stuff we did to keep us working during COVID. You'd get picked up in a crew van and there would be plastic sheets, like you'd be walled off in your own little zone. It was so dumb, half of it. And believe me, I got my vaccines, I wore my masks, I did all the reasonable stuff. And we tested just constantly. Matter of fact, on Walking Dead, you had to test 3 days in a row for each day you were going to work. So if I was filling in, for the boom operator or whatever on Thursday, I'd have to drive down and test Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. We got paid $250 a test. So I was making as much testing for COVID and having sticks put up my nose as I was, doing the actual work in some cases. We had people who would get called, and I was one of them, to just be a standby person. We think we might need you this week. Go ahead and test and submit your invoice. So I'd go on a Monday and get tested and get my $250 just in case they thought they might need me. It didn't happen often, but it happened a couple times. And again, every job you were on, you got like a bonus $250 if it was a legitimate union film or TV job, at least, if not more often. So the testing became like a nice little income stream. Anyway, so we got back to work very quickly with those ridiculous restrictions. I had to wear a face mask on one show, and it kept fogging up. I couldn't see. I was the boom operator. I had a big foggy mess in front of me, so it was ridiculous and over the top, but it got us back to work. We continued cranking it out. 2020, 2021, 22 were the peak of the streaming wars. They were throwing money left and right, starting shows left and right. Every time you turned around, there was another big show starting up. And they need a couple hundred people, so you really could keep working to your heart's content during those years. And those were my best years, financially. I really was making good money. And then, the bottom dropped out. So what happened? Well, first of all, we had the strike, where the writers went on strike. That shut us down for a while. and the actors, and we all supported them, and and said, hey, in solidarity, we're going to support your cause. Now there was no work anyway, so you may as well support them. You weren't missing out. There was nothing going on. Finally, they worked all that stuff out, and then my union was up for contract negotiation, and we negotiated. We did not go on strike. We were able to get some gains and raise the amount of money we were supposed to make and get better benefits and all that kind of stuff. And that was kind of the last straw, because after they increased the amount of money, the technicians were supposed to make, and, got better, consideration for different things that happen. Like we have these things, meal penalties. If you don't eat every 6 hours, they, have to kick in, $25 every 15 minutes or something or other till they feed you. So all these different things that we worked out and got increases on, they finally said that's enough. So it's great that we're supposed to make $5 more an hour now or whatever, but it doesn't matter because there's no work. Now, where did all the work go? Well, if you're watching shows like Squid Games, there's your answer. Go to Netflix, look at the new things that are coming out, and 80% of them have subtitles. What does that mean? They don't shoot them here. So it's not just Atlanta. They're not shooting in New York. They're not shooting in Los Angeles. There are small pockets of production picking up. Like there's a new studio they're building out in New Jersey, I believe. That might be Netflix as well. Netflix has their base of operations in New Mexico. So there are different areas of the United States where maybe if you have a really good connection or whatever, and you're a big fish in a small pond, you're going to work. But most of us are just twisting in the wind right now. It ain't a lot of fun. So a lot of the production has gone overseas. A lot of the budgets are shrinking. They stopped throwing money at the streaming wars and decided we're going to have consolidation and we're going to put all these networks together. And they're just not willing to take a chance anymore and try to throw a bunch of money at something when they can already buy something that exists. So instead of starting a new show where it's unknown if it will be successful and how long it'll last, we're going to buy something like Squid Games, which has already been produced. It already exists. We're just purchasing the product, putting it on our network. And, we're pretty sure it's going to do okay because it's done okay in different markets or whatever. And it becomes the latest and greatest and biggest thing, but none of us can work on it. So I just did a job a couple of weeks ago. It was a new show starting up. I thought, okay, I'll pop in, I'll find out what it is. Maybe I'll get some work on this. Turns out they were just auditioning for this show. I can't talk about it, but it was a grand total of 1 day of work in Atlanta. And that's what we're getting. We're not getting the shows that shoot for 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 5 years. We're getting 1 day. And it's real tough to string together enough of those 1 days to make a career. So I'll wrap it up here and say, film and TV is a very, very difficult way to make your living. If you are in school now in a place called SCAD, where they teach filmmaking or lots of other programs, all over the country, colleges have, programs where they'll teach you how to work in film and TV. You may get lucky. Maybe you're well connected. Maybe you're patient. Maybe you can be a waiter when you're younger and, that kind of thing. Oh, I got to stop this. All right, I'm back. I got an interview for a job in a totally different field they just called. So, perfect timing. Anyway, I think I was talking about different schools and things that offer film production programs, and it is great fun, and a lot of people feel a real drive to do this and to create content. Of course, content can be, consumed in a lot of different places now. Another reason why I feel like film and TV is dead is because there's the rise of, vertical content where they do these little short things that are 5 minutes long. People are watching. People's attention spans are very short now. Very few people, relatively speaking, want to go to the theater and spend $48 to see a new movie. So those numbers are down. There's just a lot of reasons why things are changing. The technology, I didn't even talk about AI. Of course, AI is going to take over every aspect of the business, including mine, although we haven't seen it quite yet. But, instead of needing to build out a film set, you can just digitally call it up. And, you won't need 500 construction workers and the set painters and props people and everything else you can imagine who put these physical items on a set. If you can just conjure it up digitally, I assume the same will be for sound, where they will be able to sample the voices of the actors to such a good degree. Can't happen now, but in a couple of years, sure, I can see it happening down the road more and more, that you're able to just film an actor in a room. You can just maybe put one microphone and just hit record, get some kind of recording of this person. It won't sound good, it'll be echoey and terrible, but you'll be able to then take that and replace it with the sound of the actor's voice. It will be perfect sounding. It will sound, real. You're gonna think the actor said it themselves, but it'll all be replaced just based on, this scratch recording they're able to do. They could probably just have a microphone on the camera, hit record, and there you go. You don't need the sound department anymore. So a lot of departments are gonna fall by the wayside. A lot of this stuff is going to be done digitally. They already can do most of it. It's just not perfect yet, but they're going to keep cranking away at it. It's just a matter of time. And, there'll be fewer and fewer humans needed in the loop. All right, before I just end up totally depressing everybody, and it's sad to say because in years past, I certainly encouraged people and said, come on out to Atlanta. It's great. We're busy. There's so much going on. But these days, I'm not telling anybody that, There are opportunities in different areas to work in live sound or live TV production maybe, or different things that will continue to go on, that won't be as affected by AI and the consolidation of everything. But basically, if you thought you're going to make a living working in the film and TV business and, working on big movies and TV shows and whatever, and working your way up from the bottom, I'm not saying it's not going to happen, but it's going to be increasingly difficult to string together enough jobs. The dirty secret in our industry usually is that, and I'm no exception, you have someone in your family who has a steady job and makes a good living, and you are able to, keep your freelance career going because you have another person in your family who makes a normal check every 2 weeks. Or you have some family money, and a lot of people that work in film have that. They have some kind of background and support, and, they have some kind of financial source they can pull from other than just working in film and TV. So it's always been very difficult. It's always been hit or miss. It's always been very exciting and rewarding, and I've certainly enjoyed it, and I'm proud of all the things that I have worked on, and I will continue to work in the industry in some capacity, and I will continue to get jobs here and there, but as far as the feeling that I have a career doing this anymore, I don't have that feeling, at the present time. Could it change? Sure. Could we have a big boom when everything comes back? Yeah, it could. But after everything we've been through, the pandemic and the strikes and the consolidation and everything else, I think it's kind of unlikely. All right. And on that happy note, wrapping it up, I'm done on my exercise bike, and I'm going to go pass out.